Okay, so this is video number 4. Now that you've seen the budget builds, this is the no holds bar, all out, didn't spare a penny build. And to be totally honest with you, I love this rifle. This is, out of all the rifles I've built over the years, this is my favorite. I've bought rifles, I've sold rifles, I've traded for rifles, I've rechambered rifles, I've done everything there is to do, all the little adjustments, and to me this is like the culmination of all those. It's really unbeatable when it comes to backcountry hunting, when it comes to talking about all the different categories that I've talked about that make up the perfect build. So, accuracy, it's super, super accurate. It'll shoot under half a minute of angle all day long, usually more like 0.3. It's really packable. Again, it's right around 8 pounds, fully loaded. And then as far as shootable, it's amazingly shootable, right? When I get on the gun, it feels a lot like my competition gun. I don't feel like I'm shooting a real dainty, real lightweight gun. It's a badass rifle. So let's talk about it. So we'll kind of start with, we'll start with the stock. So stock is a Gunworks Climber stock, okay? The nice thing with Gunworks now is you can order individual components from them. I've had a lot of different stocks for rifles. I've had Manor stocks, like the EH1. I've had the EH1A. I've had the EH6, which is their lightweight kind of stock. I've had, McMillan stocks, their Hunter stock. There's a lot of different stocks out there. I've tried a lot of them. To be totally honest, some of them I like better than others, but this really, to me, this Climber stock is unbeatable when it comes to, again, long range capability, packability, and then also shootability. It's got some unique features that I really, really like. To kind of talk about the first ones, first thing is probably the palm swell. The way your palm fits in this gun is just awesome, right? It feels really, really natural, but it makes it really easy to just have a good grip on the actual firearm when you're shooting or when you're engaging a target. The second thing that they talk a lot about, you'll hear Gunworks talk about, is their reverse comb. To me, not as noticeable, but a lot of guys do like it. When you get your cheek on the rifle and you actually are on target and you actually fire, the recoil pulls away from your face, so you're not rubbing your face the entire time as it recoils. It tends to slide off a little bit, which they talk about that being more comfortable for the shooter. I'll take their word for it. Other features that I absolutely love is this right here. So Gunworks has been pretty smart. They built a Picatinny rail into their actual stock, and it actually fits flush, which is really, really nice. Again, this is a nitpicky thing that most of the time you probably never notice, but a couple times you do, is having that Picatinny rail built in really prevents you from it getting held up on your backpack when you're in the backcountry or getting snagged on different things. Just by making it flush, they've eliminated a lot of that. And while I know it seems like something really, really little, when you spend a lot of money on a gun like this, it really is depreciating returns, right? That's the name of the game. You're not going to get massive leaps in improvement for every little extra $100 you spend. It's small, small things. But most of you guys already know that if you're spending that kind of money. So Picatinny rail built in makes it really, really easy. You can attach your bipod right to it, which makes it just a nice feature in order for you to have your gun. So that's kind of the first couple things that come to mind. Took me a second to get that on there. That's kind of the first couple things to mind. Starting with the stock, I love it. Now again, like I mentioned, Gunworks does have individual components you can now buy. In the past they only sold full rifles. Now you can buy individual components. So I purchased the stock from them. Second piece that I purchased, or second part of this gun we'll talk about, is the action. Okay, so this is the Lone Peak Arms Fusion Titanium action. It's a short action setup because it is a 7 Saum. Reason I went with this action is, number one, super lightweight. Okay, it fits that category. It's super lightweight. It's got a full-length Picatinny rail that's built in. Okay, so instead of having to go buy a pick rail on top and then actually mounting it with screws, this is actually built into the action itself. Okay. The reason I like that is, again, this goes back to that idea of depreciating return on investment with these guns, but it's just one less thing to worry about. Okay, your base is coming loose. It's happened to everybody at some point or another. Just one less thing for me to think about in the backcountry is my base is coming loose and me not having an Allen wrench or having to take the scope off. It's just one less piece on this rifle that could have an issue. So Lone Peak Titanium Fusion action. They're really, really badass. There's a lot of badass custom actions out there these days, but for me, this is the one I went with. You know, I've compared it to the Defiances and, you know, the Kelbys and I mean, there's a bazillion different Bighorns, and, you know, there's Curtis Customs actions now. There's a lot of different actions. To me, this really, you know, comparing all the different ones, the Fusion Titanium is pretty badass. Now, since this video was made, there's other ones that come out, or since I built this gun, you know, Defiance came out with their ANTI. That would probably be the other one I would look at that would be comparable to this. But at the time I built this rifle, this I believe was the best action around. Still a really good option. You know, moving to the barrel, this is a Proof Research barrel chambered in 7 Saum. This is the Sendero Light. So again, you know, when it comes to the contour of the actual barrel, this is the lightest configuration that they offer. They offer a Sendero Light, and a Sendero Bull, I believe. This is the lightest combination. In a 22-inch barrel, the barrel starts off thick enough that, you know, plenty of weight to the actual barrel itself. So, you know, I think some guys are occasionally worried about, you know, is the barrel too thin? You know, just not an issue. Is it still going to maintain accuracy? Really not an issue with such a short barrel. So Proof Research, it's a 1-in-8 twist. I built the gun to shoot the 180 grain hybrids, so it definitely does that really well. Let's see, moving over to, like, say, the trigger, Trigger Tech. It's a Trigger Tech primary trigger, super good trigger. I feel like, you know, Trigger Tech came on the market kind of seemingly out of nowhere. It seemed like it was owned by, you know, like Timney and, you know, a few other companies for a long time. But they came out of nowhere, and I feel like their triggers are awesome. Been super reliable, no issues with that. As far as the bipod, Atlas bipod, they're kind of the longtime player in the game for bipods. Really hard to beat them. I've got Atlases, I've got Harrises, I've got the Modular Evolutions, you know, carbon fiber tripod. I like this one the best, probably out of all those. And then moving to, you know, the scope. So the scope is another area, like I mentioned in a previous video, that I've spent a lot of energy going through different scopes. I mean, just to name a couple over the years, you know, I've had several Leopold Mark V's, I've had the Razor AMG, I've had March scopes, I've had, God, what else have I had? What other light range scopes? I've had a lot of lightweight, long range scopes, and it really is, again, another one of those things where you're trying to find the best combination between, you know, great features, great turrets, you know, awesome clarity in the scope, and just kind of a playing game where you're, you know, fine-tunedly adjusting a lot of different things. You know, I even got a college scope over here. I threw on it for a while. More of a competition style scope. Great scope's a little bit heavy, right? So I played with a lot of different scopes. To me, this one has been the best so far. This is a Mark V HD. I believe it's, what is it, 3.5 by 18. It's got great turrets. They do lock, like I mentioned on my last video. That's really important to me. You know, the other thing is the reticle, right? It's got a really simple reticle, the TMR reticle. So badass scope overall. Rings are the Vortex Precision rings. Okay, so really stable ring, really consistent. Made by Seekins. They're awesome. So again, this scope comes in at like 26 ounces. So it's as light as I could possibly get, while still getting those other features that I want, right? You know, the AMG and the Mark V are really comparable when it comes to features and weight, but I actually like the Mark V just a little bit better. Now, you know, a couple reasons with this rifle. It's a 22-inch barrel, okay? So with the 7 Saum, you really get great velocity with some of those shorter barrels, and that tends to be a feature of the short action calibers like 7 Saum, 7 WSM, is you can run a little bit shorter barrel and still get pretty good velocity out of them. So I went with 22 inches for 2 reasons. Number one, it makes it really shootable, okay? I had a deer this year that was on the run, and it was moving really quick across the hillside. And because that barrel is so short, it's really easy to move the gun much like you would a shotgun if you're shooting clays. And so, you know, it just pulls up really easily, and it really feels comfortable. So that was a big part about it. The other big part about it too is when I put it in my pack, you know, one of my big pet peeves when hunting is my rifle, my barrel actually hitting bushes or trees as I'm hiking through or as I'm going through thick timber. And so it was really important to me that, you know, a shorter barrel just seems to just have less issues hitting on stuff, right? It sits in the bottom of my pack, and so it's darn near, you know, the height of my head. So I just never have to worry about it being real high up there, like you do with a 26-inch barrel, or even some guys run 28-inch barrels. I could have gone 24, but that leads me to my next point is, now while I don't always run it, I always wanted the option to be able to run a suppressor, okay? I've had a suppressor for a number of years. And while I don't always hunt with it, I do want the ability to run it if I do want to hunt it, okay? So the suppressor is obviously like 7.5, 8 inches long. And so when I throw that on the end of the can, suddenly you've got, you know, if you've got a 26-inch barrel, suddenly your barrel is like 35 inches long, or not quite that long, but 33 inches long. And so having a 22-inch barrel, it really gives me you know, the flexibility to run a suppressor without having a really, really long barrel and making it obnoxiously long when I'm walking around. So, you know, like I said, I don't always hunt with the suppressor. Typically, I don't, but I do want the ability to do that. Now, you know, kind of going to the next category is, well, why don't you run the suppressor, or why do you not run a can, or what do you run as a barrel device? So, me personally, over the last 8 years, I've gone back and forth. I've run suppressors, I've run brakes, I've run, you know, nothing at different times. And what I found is that I actually prefer to run nothing, okay? I prefer to run just a simple thread protector, okay? And the reason for that is because I feel like that gives me the best of both worlds, okay? You know, brakes are really, really good for staying on target. It really allows you to not, to be able to watch around, impact an animal or impact a target. The problem with them is in the backcountry, you always make sure you have to have earplugs, okay? You know, if you don't have earplugs and you throw a brake and you take a shot or two, like, you are going to regret it for the next 2 weeks, because your ears will be ringing and you can obviously do permanent damage. Now, vice versa, you've got the suppressor, which is awesome, right? Suppressor makes it really easy to shoot. It makes it really comfortable. It takes care of recoil. It makes it, you know, really, really quiet. The thing I don't love about the suppressor is, again, because of the style of hunting I do, where I'm spending a ton of time hiking through trees and up and down mountains, and just kind of all over everywhere, this just inevitably hits stuff, right? It gets banged on trees, it gets banged on bushes, it just hits stuff, okay? And so it just gets frustrating. It also makes my gun a little bit front heavy, which I don't love. And kind of the final thing I would say is, you know, because it does thread on, you always have the possibility that it could come unthreaded, or that there could be a small malfunction with your point of aim. And so for me, I've come back to the no muzzle device. I just run a simple screw-on cap that I leave on there, and for me that's been the best. You know, I try to have ear protection in the backcountry. If I don't, for whatever reason, I'm not going to just destroy my hearing on one shot. It's obviously got no length on the end of it, so it makes it really easy to pack around. So, you know, that's kind of my breakdown of the full custom here. You know, all in on this rifle, I'm probably around $3,600 before the scope. When you add the scope, you're another $1,500. So, you know, you figure right around $5,000, which is a ton of money. I totally understand. You don't need to spend this type of money to have a lot of success or to have accuracy. I'm a bit of a snob. I like shooting. I like reloading. I like all the aspects that go into it. And so, you know, that's just kind of what I like to do. But I have no fear at all bringing, you know, my other rifle into the backcountry as well. This one just happens to be really optimized. So anyway, that's an entire breakdown of my rifle, of my backcountry build, of a full custom. Really, there's no area on this rifle I didn't spare on any area. The scope is top class, stock, action, trigger, barrel. You know, everything is kind of best of class. And so, you know, that's a no holds bar setup right there, and that's what it looks like.